Hey.
Hi. How we
morning.
doing?
Great.
Good. We're in a new setup. How do we feel about it? Feel okay?
I feel invigorated.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you
I
feel,
think
Heath?
I also am invigorated.
Wow.
Aaron's invigoration is infectious.
It's also not fair because I'm the one that set it up, and I'm like, how do you feel?
How do you feel about
Does
it?
it feel good? Feel good?
But I love rearrange. It's one of my favorite things to do.
It's
so,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a label maker or give me some furniture to rearrange. I'm a happy
Oh my
girl.
God. I just got a label maker that looks like a tiny typewriter, and then it spits it out the top. It is.
Are you like, I'm going to label everything?
Oh, I labeled everything on
Gonna
my
label my
desk.
shirts. Gonna label my shoes.
I wrote Aaron's stapler on the stapler because sometimes it disappears in our house. I know that sounds weird, but
So you have to put your name on
I
everything.
do. I put my name on everything. I labeled all the remotes in all of our different rooms
Okay.
because our grandchildren like to mix them up, and then they don't work. You're like, what remote is it? Yeah, I
like
got a little
it.
wild for a bit, but
I mean,
Do you do that like stuff in the fridge too? Do you label like this is Aaron's milk?
you should.
Get your own milk.
This is Aaron's Go-Gurt. Leave it
Yeah.
alone.
right?
Yeah.
No, I do just hide my snacks. Like I have hiding spots no one knows about, which is a downside because sometimes I forget that I
yeah.
bought something, but just otherwise, you just learn that with 4 boys. Otherwise, it's gone. Even something that you would think, why would you eat that?
There's times that I, as a 47-year-old woman, will be like, why would I eat that? But then I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
So, it depends. Depends. Well, we saw each other last night.
We did. What a delight.
Yes. For another gay men's chorus here in Des Moines, which I think was the best one we've seen yet.
I would wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. I thought it was phenomenal.
What was it? What was it? Something like a phenomenon?
I just got to stutter for no reason. Sorry.
Also, I bring it up because your husband got to do a brief moment of holding up a candy cane like a
Yes.
goddamn magician. Just
And then jumped in the air and clacked his heels together.
Yeah. It was something.
it
Yep.
was glorious.
It was glorious.
Yeah. He's really pulling focus from Jesus this holiday season.
Which was his plan all along.
Yeah. It was a new reason for the season.
That's Michael
Michael
with his
jumping
candy cane.
and kicking.
How long do you think he was practicing that Oliver Twist little, kick in the air?
I did not see it in our home.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Okay. So he was at work just doing
maybe.
it. I like it. I like it. Well, this week we are going to talk about 1988. But before we do that, we always got to talk about our unmitigated gall from the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
And it's always when we go out into the world at an event, it always raises new opportunities for gall, which is great. But
It is great.
Anybody want to go first? Anyone with burning gall?
I mean, I guess
Okay.
my unmitigated goal should be that United Healthcare guy getting shot. I mean, I guess.
Wait, which was the gall? The guy getting shot or the guy shooting?
I mean, I feel like we shouldn't be happy that someone got murdered on the street, but also,
true, but you know.
Not entirely unseen,
Right,
Like,
yeah.
we could have seen that coming.
yeah, I don't want to celebrate it. I don't want to be like, well, you kind of maybe could have done some different things to avoid that outcome. But hindsight's 2020.
Indeed.
In this case, yeah. I think you're with the general population. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're on social media right now, everyone's like, well, my, so-and-so died because you wouldn't allow this kind of medication
Right.
or this thing or whatever. So it's like, it gets drowned out with all those other lives that,
Yeah.
didn't make those decisions and got,
It does feel like Aaron and I were talking just briefly before this that a lot of news pundits are like, could it be intentional? Was there a hitman? And I'm like, you guys all have good health insurance, obviously, because
Yeah.
it's like you
Right.
can't even contemplate, like, why would
Right.
someone do this?
I didn't even hear the details of it. I just heard he was shot, and I was like, of course it was targeted.
Exactly.
Like, I didn't
Yeah.
even think for a second it was random.
Right.
Like,
right.
I was like, that was on purpose.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's wild too because I know there was I forget which other healthcare company it was that was going to only pay for anesthesia for like up to a certain point.
Yes.
And they reversed that after
Immediately.
this, and it's wild that they. I mean, it's not wild because this is what they've always done. They make decisions based on their own welfare and benefits, and they don't
absolutely.
want the people on that board and that CEO did not want to face have the same thing happen to them, so they change the rule. Like, they don't care about anybody else.
No, it was purely
right,
self-interest. Like, oh shit, I don't want to get shot, so we better change this.
Yep.
Yeah. Not like, oh, we've, our eyes have been open to this study or this new
Right.
thing. Like, we shouldn't have been doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you had all the evidence that you shouldn't have been doing that, and now you're just scared. So, congratulations. I guess you know what it feels like to have an insurance plan and go to the doctor.
I do like that this is a confusing gall because we don't know like who's the real gall and who has it and who doesn't. But I like it.
I like, it's the end of the year. Let's be weird.
Yeah.
Let's do some gray area.
Remember, we're
shit.
stone cold weirdos, so
We
we
are.
live for the weird and the gray area.
I agree.
What's your gall, Aaron?
My gall is, sort of a collective gall, but I have a specific example. This time of year seems to really breed like a specific type of shopper / person.
Interesting.
And so I feel like we see a lot more of what I'll refer to as Karen behavior at this time of year.
Okay, yeah.
So perfect example is Friday. I had a bunch of errands to run. And so I had a list, I'm checking it off, right? And I'm out and about, and we were having an early dinner, so I didn't want like a full lunch, but I was like, what I could absolutely devour right now is some hot McDonald's fries. So I get in line. There's 3 people ahead of me. And this is around lunchtime. I want to say like 11:30. I get in line. I order the fries. I order a drink. They say, we're waiting on fries. You have to pull up. And I'm like, okay. But this McDonald's, the pull up is side spots. So there's not like a direct order because people are just going in the spots that are open, right? So as somebody leaves, someone can pull into that spot. So I sit there. This is no exaggeration. For 20 minutes. Because what's happening is that the poor people working inside are bringing the bag out and there's no order. So they just stop at the first car and say, did you have 2 cheeseburgers with fries, whatever. And then that person either says yes or no and they move on. But what quickly I realized was happening is that if you order the same thing, then someone else could take that meal, right? So I watched.
Or if you're sick of waiting, you just say yes to whatever they offer.
Yes.
Get the hell
So
out of town.
there is a flaw in the system. I
This
agree.
is fucking chaos, and it's
Yeah,
making me
it is chaos.
Yeah.
And I'm
don't
telling
like it.
you right now, I recognize it. I saw it. And for some reason, I thought this is going to go bad, and I think I want to watch. And so I was like, I have time. I'm just sitting in my car. I'm waiting to go to the next errand. I was like, I'll just see how this plays out because this is going to go bad. So
Quick question. Are you investigating on behalf of this podcast? Are you
Kind of.
looking for gall opportunities?
yeah, I was like, this
Love
is
it.
going to be bad. I also am fascinated by people, like watching people unwind in front of you is, it's not nice, but one of my favorite pastimes. So I noticed that the lady next to me is getting more and more agitated in her car. She got her window rolled down every time someone emerges from the McDonald's. And now keep in mind that I ordered no meal. I literally only ordered fries. So at some point, like I could have rolled down my window and said, hey, can I just get a thing of fries so I can leave? She is agitated. And I realize I can hear from my car that she ordered a Filet-O-Fish meal.
Okay.
Okay.
Barf.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your choices are suspect already, man.
Already?
Yeah.
So the next lady that comes out stops at this lady has just pulled in on the other side of the lady next to me, right? She just pulls in. The lady comes out and says, did you order Filet-O-Fish meal? And she's like, yes. And she hands it over and that lady backs out and leaves. And this lady, I was like, oh God, I don't even know if I can make eye contact. I don't even know if I can make eye contact. The lady goes, are you kidding me? Screams at this. I mean, she couldn't have been 20, this McDonald's. And she's like, we're going in order. And she's like, that can't be true. She's like, yeah, they're in order except for the cheeseburgers we did out of order. And she's like, that was my Filet-O-Fish. And she's like, and the lady's like, just looking at her, and she said, did you have a Filet-O-Fish with a sweet tea? And she's like, no. And she goes, well, that one was with a sweet tea. And she's like, it doesn't make any sense. She ordered after me. So they're just in this match. The McDonald's worker has come no closer to her car, which was smart on her part.
Yeah.
But that just means that this lady is just yelling louder out of her car window. And of course, mine's half down because I want to hear exactly what she's saying. And so then she decides that I'm not getting anywhere with her. And she turns off her car, and I'm like, oh, this lady is getting out.
Oh, no.
This lady's getting out. So then I start to look around, and the lady next to me in the other car who had kids in the car waiting is like craned all the way over to see what's happening. She gets out of her car, and she goes, I need to speak to your manager.
Oh, boy.
And that 20-year-old or 18, 19-year-old turned and said, I am the manager.
Oh!
I don't know if it's true or not. She had no regalia
Well
that made me
played.
think.
Well played.
Yeah, well played. And the lady said, well, I need my meal. And then got back in her car and sat there.
I need my filet
Yeah.
of fish.
And honestly, I left. After that, I didn't even get my fries.
You didn't? You were like, nope, I'm out.
I just like, after that, I was like, I can't ask for these fries. I just can't. I just need to go. Because she did the most about her filet o fish meal. I do not feel comfortable asking for my fries. I'm just going to go.
Wow. Yeah. Do you feel like, too, that people who lose it in those situations have never worked in food service or any sort of waiting profession?
Yes, 1,000%. Yeah.
And they've also never witnessed it happen, because obviously you
Yeah.
witnessed it happen and you saw, like, this lady is unhinged.
This reminds me of just last night you were telling us about when you worked at Target and people would bitch at you because the Titanic soundtrack
Yes.
was sold out and you're like, I don't care.
I don't.
At all.
I mean, I wasn't getting paid to care about the Titanic soundtrack. I was getting paid like $7.50 an hour. I think it's probably a generous. I don't even remember what it was. I probably wasn't even that much. But yeah, when people would get mad about it, and that's the thing. Like when you go to Target or McDonald's or wherever, I mean, respect the people, but you also
Yes.
have to understand that employees there are not pulling down six figures to work
Exactly.
at Target. Like
Yes.
you know,
They're
you
not
gotta-
paid enough to care about your tantrums.
And there's no secret conspiracy.
Right.
They're not hoarding filet o fish
Right, uh-huh.
back there because that's what
Yeah.
they're all going to eat in an hour. Like they just are doing what they can do to get the food out. Same
Nobody-
thing. Like,
Yeah, nobody at that McDonald's is like, let's see what this bitch does if we don't bring her a sandwich.
yeah,
They're watching the people come through drive-through like this one. Let's fuck with her.
yeah. Let's just see what happens. What if you go out there eating a filet o fish?
Oh, this one? Is this yours?
Is this
Here.
your sandwich?
You can have the rest of mine.
I told you when I had
amazing.
my jaw surgeries, and I went to New York the week afterwards, and I couldn't eat anything. And so filet of fish was like the thing I could jam into the top of my mouth and then swallow after a while. So
That is the most elegant description of anything I've ever heard
It's
in
the
my
only way
life.
to eat a filet o fish, I think.
Jam it in the top of my
so
mouth.
after I jammed it at the top of my mouth and let it sort of melt, I never again liked filet of fish.
That's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I went through a weird period where I craved it when I was pregnant with Mason.
Well, sure.
So much that I asked my doctor, I was like, I've been eating filet o fish, and I don't think we're supposed to eat fish. And she's like, that's not real fish.
Yeah.
I'm not
that's
worried
just-
about your mercury
that's-
intake
No.
from filet o
Am I going to get mercury poisoning from this? No.
Well, my gall is, so we're still wearing fur? Because last night at this event, there was a very tall man with great hair. And you
He's
know,
dressed in all white, correct?
he was dressed in all white, like white jeans, maybe, white t-shirt. And then to top the fashion off, he had, would you call that a stole or would you call that a scarf?
A stole,
I
think.
think I'd call it a stole.
Okay.
Yeah.
This young man had a fur stole that was like the fur that you can tell there's still tails attached to
Yep.
it. Like it's full on like saying, I have dead animals around my neck. And my immediate thought was like, oh, so we're cool doing that again? Like that's fashion? Like
When I saw him, my first thought was, it's after Labor Day. You should not. This is too much white for early
it was
December.
all white and the fur was all white too. So I was like, this is a very interesting choice.
It was weird. I told you it didn't make sense either because he had a short sleeve shirt on and a
Yeah.
fur stole.
Yeah.
Like those two things don't go together.
Right, yeah. Like, what temperature do you need it to be to have bare arms and dead animals wrapped around your neck?
Yeah.
It wasn't last night's temperature, I'll
No.
tell you that.
No. And it got warm in that place, but he kept his fur stole on.
Yeah, I, as one who witnessed Amy first take in the fur, and then turn to me and say that exact thing. So that's okay again?
And granted, as we've established, I'm vegan. I'm not going to be a fan of fur, but still,
Right.
like, I felt like as a society, we were kind of past fur.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I would
But I
agree.
might have been wrong.
Yeah. No, I think you're accurate. Yeah. I
Okay,
haven't-
well,
You should just keep some paint on you all time, so you can throw it on people if
should.
you see them wearing fur.
That would have made a spectacular display on that white outfit.
Yeah. And it could have been, I could have brought green and red, so it could be Christmassy.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he's got mad at me, I'd be like, it's Christmas art.
Yeah. Or you could be like, I'm sorry, we got off on the wrong foot.
Yeah. I hope you have a good night.
I know we talked about the drunken almost fight before we started recording, but should we tell the drunken almost fight story
Yes.
so people know what
You were closest to it. Please,
Please regale
recount the
us.
scene. So we were at a nice, very nice theater.
Yes. We were a few rows back, and across the aisle, a couple of ladies had pre-gamed, let's say. They
Yes,
showed up
very
at
much
the beginning
so.
of this concert. They were pretty drunk already at 7 o'clock. And at one point, the conductor on stage asked the audience, was kind of engaging the audience, and so they were sort of answering her. And then the two older ladies in front of them turned around and asked them to be quiet. And the two drunk ladies like, we're just answering a question. it's a back and forth thing. They know what we're doing. And then they told the old ladies to just turn around, and the old lady's like, well, you turn around. And it's like, oh, well, that's not how that works.
But also at that point, the lady that was like, just turn around. It was so loud that we were all hearing it. Like it was resonating across the back. I think even the conductor may have heard it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was loud. It definitely,
But then I think the best part is then a few songs later, she came back and again, loud enough for all of us to hear, said to the lady, I think we got off on the wrong foot. I hope you have a good night.
we got off on the wrong foot. It's so funny when you instigated it.
And in the middle of this beautiful, like, whatever song it was, I think we got off on the wrong foot.
And that makes me feel like that lady has a long storied history of being
Very
a bitch
much
to
so.
people,
Yes.
and then just sort of brushing it away.
Yeah, expecting it's going to be fine. Yeah.
Well, she got up multiple times too and went down that. And a couple times when I heard her come back, one time she was standing there and then she goes, I'm back. These people know. They know you're back.
We got it. We got it. So that was entertaining as
That
well.
was fun.
Yeah. All right, so before we get into 1988, let me recap
Okay.
from last time. Heath, you had Coming to America, Big, and a music roundup which included Faith, Never Gonna Give You Up, and Sweet Child of Mine. Good stuff. Well done on
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Aaron, you had the very traumatic Land Before Time.
God damn. What was that?
You also had the Bork tapes.
It's my favorite political scandal that never was. Why was that a thing?
And then you had the Gary Hart thing.
Oh.
With the Pete Maravich quotes. I forget what those were.
Yeah. Well, they famously both said things that then came true. Like,
Oh, right. Just follow me.
Yeah,
And-
Gary Hart was like, just follow me. You'll never find anything wrong. Cut to 2 weeks later, and they're like, you have a mistress. And he's like, fuck.
Damn it. You weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to follow me.
And then mine were Beetlejuice, the Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, and the sad event of the Seoul Olympics and the doves that were burned alive in the opening ceremony.
It's awful.
Soul has smelled like chicken ever since.
It sure did. And also... Also, I wanted to share a random memory from 1988 because this was the year that George H.W. Bush won and against Michael Dukakis. And I remember one day walking home from junior high, and there was an enormous banner across someone's garage that said, "Get off your Dukakis and vote for Bush."
What? What?
And when I say one day, it was actually there for a long time, but so enough that every day walking home from school, I'm like, it doesn't even make any sense.
It doesn't.
When the size of the banner increases, that's when you know that people really think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's always ones that you're like, what?
There was a banner during I think it was the 2020 election it was in the Waterbury area here in Des Moines, which is, pretty expensive houses.
Yeah.
But someone had put a great big banner up on their fence that said, fuck Trump.
Whoa.
And it was like, I'm talking like 6 or 8 feet tall and like 10 or 12 feet wide, like huge. And while I agree with the sentiment, I also wonder, like, as a neighbor there, do you want to see that all the time?
And also, do you want to be that neighbor that does that?
Right. I mean, at least that made sense. I mean,
So it's good to know that even in 1988, people were stupid when it came to politics.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's one thing we can count on.
Yeah.
Stupidity.
oh yeah,
Heath, do you want to start us off with
I
1988?
do. You know what's not stupid?
What?
The Golden Girls.
No, it's not.
Oh,
On December 10th, 1988, which is almost, like 36 years ago to the date when this one will...
Today is the 8th.
Yeah. We'll put this out on the 11th. The Golden Girls are an episode titled Scared Straight. And so we all know the premise of the Golden Girls, correct?
Oh, no.
There's
Yeah.
4 senior ladies. They share a home in Miami while sleeping around, eating cheesecake, and wearing fashions that are both iconic and tragic.
it's the best summary I've ever heard.
Eating cheesecake.
Who doesn't love a cheesecake? Well, Amy doesn't love a
Yeah, I
cheesecake.
don't love cheesecake. Yeah.
In this episode, Blanche, who I would consider Florida's premier sex-positive grandmother,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
has her brother Clayton come for a visit after he finalizes his divorce. Now, Blanche is very protective of her brother, and in preparation for his visit, she sets him up on a blind date to help him kind of shake off the cobwebs from being married.
Oh, boy.
The date does not go well, and Clayton confides in Rose that the reason the date didn't go well is because he's gay.
He's a homosexual?
Huh? In Miami?
What? Plot twist.
So Rose encourages Clayton to tell Blanche the truth, but he chickens out at the last second and tells Blanche that the reason the date didn't go well is because he slept with Rose.
Oh. Oh, no.
Which makes Rose one in a long line of kind-hearted women who wear a beard for a gay man.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were talking about this beforehand. We all were.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean all, you and me, because
Yeah.
he was the gay
Yeah,
man.
he was-
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I employed the beards.
You were the target of the beards.
So Blanche gets bent out of shape because she thinks Rose is taking advantage of her brother and calls Rose a cradle-snatching, empty-headed, two-faced dummy.
Damn!
Which is pretty rough. Call your roommate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So later, Rose outs Clayton to Dorothy, which isn't a cool thing to do, but Rose didn't really know any better, because again, this was 36 years ago.
Yep.
She won't tell Sophia, but Sophia figures it out herself after asking Clayton 3 questions. How do you like the Miami weather? Have you ever been to Europe? And how many fingers am I holding up? And he answers all these questions, but then she admits that she heard him singing show tunes in the shower, and that's how she figured it out.
I was going to say, wait, I need to know that code.
Yeah, what
How does that work?
So Clayton tells Blanche, and she doesn't take it so well at first, but eventually comes around. She also realizes that she needs to apologize to Rose and tells her, there's something I have to say to you. It's just 2 little words, but they're the hardest 2 little words in all the whole world for me to say. And Rose responds with, not tonight.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I say this all the time. The Golden Girls was way ahead of its time. This episode aired, like I said, almost 36 years ago, and they mostly treated the gay character with dignity and respect, which when most gay men and women in the media at the time were sort of portrayed as tragic figures or sexual deviants. The following season, that Clayton character returned with his partners. They planned a commitment ceremony. And I think now if you plan a gay wedding in Florida, I think they just put you right in jail. Like I
think that's right.
I think
Because
you're
you
right.
can't say it, so you definitely can't act on it.
Yeah.
Like there's not even a trial. I think you just go to jail forever.
Whenever we talk about Florida and the don't say gay, all I can think of is those white boots. The Ron DeSantis heeled white boots.
It took me a minute. I was like, wait, what?
That's all I can think of.
I had to shift through all the dummies in my head.
Yeah.
Who wore the white boots?
With
Yeah.
a heel. Like
Yeah. Now, if the guy with the fur also wore white boots, maybe I'd be like a little more like, because then I would be like, okay, so he has no sense of style. So he's definitely, fur is definitely not back.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page that it wasn't a great outfit.
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah. It just cohesively didn't make sense.
Sure. But, I mean, we are the older people now. They are the youths. So I was like, well, maybe it is. Maybe it's fashion. And I don't like it.
Yeah, I suppose. I was just thinking about how, there is a weird line between, understanding fashion and not understanding fashion. Like, things that I'd be like, well, I wouldn't wear that, but it looks great on them. Or, they pull it off or whatever. But I think that that's the distinction, is that it was disjointed enough that we didn't feel like he was pulling it off.
True. Very true.
Yeah, it felt, like he almost tried too hard.
Yes.
With all the all white and the fur and the, all that. So.
I hope he's a listener.
Yeah.
Well,
And
he won't be
T's like-
after this.
He's like, oh my God, wait. Are they talking
Should
about
we
me?
be wearing that out?
Maybe he'll be like, was there someone else there in a white fur stole?
He
Yeah,
will,
somebody
yeah.
that wears that'll think it's about someone else. You're
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
How about you, Aaron?
Well, 1988 was rife with some craziness. So
Sure.
I'm going to call it the year of the battle of the Sexpot preachers.
Oh.
Because
Wow, the year of the battle of the Sexpot preachers. That is epic.
Because Jimmy Swaggert, who was America's leading television evangelist, resigned from his ministry after it was revealed that he had been consorting with a prostitute.
Consorting?
Consorting
Oh my
with
gosh,
a
not
prostitute.
consorting.
Wait. Also, I lost my visual aids. Hold on.
Wait, we have
Wait,
vision
what?
of the prostitutes?
What are you going to show us?
Do we have consorting pictures? I don't want consorting.
I just no. There's no consorting pictures. Don't think I didn't look for pictures of the bride because I thought maybe they had those out there. They don't. But in front of a congregation of 7,000 people in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, he sobbed openly, and you just have to see the picture of him sobbing.
Oh, I remember this.
Just tears, and confessed to moral failure without really going into any detail about what that might be.
But this also looks like he just doused his head in the baptism pool or
It kinda
something.
does,
like,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand he was crying. I feel like he's sad he got caught. Like, he wasn't sad
That's
about what he
absolutely
did.
right. Yes, yes.
He's not sad about anything else.
Especially because one of his quotes from that time was, "I do not plan in any way to whitewash my sin or call it a mistake," he told shocked members of his family worship center. Which is a weird statement.
That's
when
not
you
an
break it
apology
apart.
then.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't plan in any way to whitewash my sin. I think the very basis of the sin is already whitewashed if you
Yeah.
take it in a different
Yep.
way. But then, or call it a mistake.
Yeah.
I can't stop staring at this.
I
It's
know.
so disturbing.
It's so disturbing. I had to print it out. He also turned to his wife Frances, who had to sit up there after finding this out about her
God
husband,
damn
had to
it.
sit on stage and watch him talk about it, and said, "I have sinned against you, and I beg your forgiveness."
I feel like she was probably like better her than me.
Yeah. She's
Lead
like,
me the
"Shit,
hell
I
along.
Yeah.
got the better end of this
got
deal.
caught." But the thing that made this more scandalous is because he himself freaked out just a few short months earlier about Jim Baker. Because he was
yeah.
committing adultery with his minister and secretary, Jessica Hahn. So he was one of the leaders in saying that he doesn't deserve his post, he shouldn't have it. And Baker was defrocked and fired from his multi-million-dollar TV, thing. But then also, there's another rival named Martin Gorman, who was also defrocked 2 years earlier after Mr. Swaggert accused him of immoral dalliances. So they think that there's something going on with Gorman, like he helped them get the pictures because
For
he
sure.
felt his whole thing. He went nuts and he was like, Swaggert's trying to take out all of his competitions, and like find out dirt, and then now he has the leading thing. So everybody just was like, nobody cares. You're all terrible. Like this isn't a thing that we're interested
No.
in. But
And the idea of like him looking at all this as like other ministers as competition
It's like corporate
yeah.
espionage in a
Right.
real weird,
very
that's-
weird way, right?
Yeah.
So 4 days later, after this comes out, Deborah Murphy, the prostitute photographed with Jimmy Swaggert, told a New Orleans TV show that he was a regular customer, but and insisted that they had not had sex. She said that he just liked to watch her undress. Which begs the question if it's more upsetting to find out that your husband was having sex with a prostitute or just watching your undress.
I'd be way more upset with the latter because that's some freaky stuff.
It's
There's
weird,
something
right?
freaky there. Yeah.
Now,
like-
she since recanted that statement and did like a full, and you can, however you feel about this source, she did like a full 4-page like interview with Penthouse after the fact and said that that wasn't true and like
Okay.
spilled the details of all the dirty stuff that they did.
Okay.
That he was a big fan of her just like trying to expose herself in public. Like he would tell her to like take off her skirt and try and get out of the car, and she's like, "I'm not doing that."
So he had a kink of like somehow being found out.
Kind of, I think, yes.
And then he
yes.
did.
And he would phone her sometimes and make her say things to him or whatever So, yeah, she definitely recanted because there's lots of details in that article. But,
So Gorman was the first one defrocked from Swaggert, finding a bunch of stuff, and then Swaggert like went hard at Baker. I love the idea of maybe those two guys being like, "Let's fucking take this guy
let's do
out."
it. Guess what I found out?
Yeah.
Yeah, because part of the Gorman thing too was his son was involved. Like they said his son was he had an adult son, and they said his son was doing something too, and that was what really like lit the fire for him, that he wanted to really destroy him, because he was like, you brought my son into this and wasn't necessary and blah blah blah. So
now this is sounding like some mafia shit.
oh yeah,
This is just
1000%.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it is when you think about it, because you're talking about multi-million-dollar,
Yeah.
industry. I mean, they said that Jimmy Swaggert's show made like $70 million or something, like an obscene amount of money. So
None of that's going to Jesus.
no,
it's
it's
all
going to Deborah
Jimmy.
Murphy.
Deborah.
Well, good. We're financing Deborah. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow. From sexpot preachers to a weird, dark children's fantasy, I'm going with Willow.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see Willow?
I don't think so.
Oh, did you see Willow?
I've seen parts of it. I've never seen it all the way through.
Okay. Somehow this became a touchstone in my childhood. This was a Ron Howard movie, executive produced by George Lucas, who had the original story idea. And because it was Lucas, Industrial Light and Magic created the visual effects, and it led to this breakthrough called digital morphing technology. When you look at it now, it's so, low tech. But at the time, it was like, oh my God, it's amazing. So in this world, it looks like a lot of fantasy worlds, right? There's an evil sorceress. She hears of a prophecy that she's going to die at the hands of a child who has a special birthmark. So naturally, she puts all the pregnant women in jail and waits until they pop out the babies. And then she checks each of the babies. When the special baby is born, the mom persuades the midwife to escape with her. So the midwife takes off, being pursued, and the midwife realizes she's going to get caught, so she puts the baby in the river, Moses style.
Oh. Just like in a basket or something? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
And so baby's just floating down the river and finds a community of dwarves, and this is the name they went with at the time, which contains Willow, a farmer, a dad, and a wannabe magician. And they find the baby, and the village leaders say they have to return it to the Daikini, or the tall people. So we are the Daikini, just so we know.
Like Tankini?
Exactly. Yep. So then a group sets off, Fellowship of the Ring style, to deliver this baby to any tall person they find. Okay. And on their trek, they find a guy in a cage named Mad Mardigan, who is Val Kilmer.
Oh.
And the group just wants to leave the baby with him. He looks fine in a cage.
I feel like this group should have got more training before they set out.
This group was like, we don't want nothing to do with any of this bullshit, so let's leave the baby in the cage. But Willow says no, so he's left behind. Everyone leaves him. They're like, all right, you care so much, you get to take care of it. Then it's an adventure with the three of them. Willow, Mad Mardigan, who eventually escapes, of course, and the baby, along with some fairies, actual little fairies called brownies.
Oh, that's
not
what I thought.
Not homosexuals, yeah. And an aging witch and the daughter of the evil sorceress, Sorsha, who turns sides and fights with them because she's hot after Mad Mardigan.
Oh.
Yep.
They also find out the baby's name is Allura Dannon. Allura gets taken, of course. And the evil sorceress is working to do her thing and be evil and banish the baby somewhere.
Yep.
But
She's just doing her job.
She's just doing her job. She is trying to survive.
Yes.
But Willow and the team raise an army to rescue the baby. And Willow learns real magic along the way and beats the evil sorceress. And there's a happy ending. Allura is left with Mad Mardigan and Sorsha. The kingdom is in their hands. Everything's happy. And Willow goes home. So fun facts. Willow is Warwick Davis, who played one of the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. Okay. And he has been in every iteration of Star Wars since. He's in each one of the trilogies. Oh. He's in some of the shows. Like, he's everywhere. George Lucas loves him. There was also a Disney Plus series just for Willow. I did not watch it. I didn't want to besmirch my glorious childhood memories of this. Yeah. As I said, Val Kilmer is Mad Mardigan, and Sorsha is Joanne Whalley, and they married briefly after this. Yeah. Also, George Lucas, named the character of General Kale, who's a general bad dude.
Yeah, after Kale, nobody likes that.
That's right. But actually, he named the character after a film critic, Pauline Kael, who she realized that in her printed review of the film and was like, oh, this is after me. Cool. Similarly, there was a two-headed dragon in the movie named Eborsk, after film critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert.
So he was naming like beasts after film
Yes.
critics that had given him his work bad reviews.
Yes.
Okay.
And in turn, they gave a bad review to this. This movie was, it didn't get great reviews. Reviewers did like the special effects, but not the story. But I don't know, something about maybe it was my age, something, just longing for that dark, creepy fantasy. Just loved it. It did do pretty good at the box office, too. And also, it's interesting to note that this is the year, 1988, in which George Lucas gave a speech to Congress about the need to protect films from being altered. He said, people who alter or destroy works of art and our cultural heritage for profit or as an exercise of power are barbarians. Of course, in 1997, he re-released his Star Wars trilogy and fucked it up.
Yeah.
Fucked it all up.
What was he referring to in the 1988 thing?
Don't know, but those words came back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah. Ooh.
Willow.
Is that the way it ends?
Willow! With an exclamation point.
Yeah.
Anywho, what's next, Heath?
Next is a movie called Working Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a image of the dichotomy of me. Watched Willow a lot. Watched Working Girl just as often.
That tracks.
That means you're a well-rounded person.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yep. Working Girl is a movie starring Dakota Johnson's mom, Melanie Griffith.
Yep, that's right.
She plays Tess McGill, an ambitious secretary from Staten Island who's been going to business school at night, which is not a euphemism, and then quietly steps in for a new boss when the new boss is injured in a ski accident and recuperating out of town. Tess is smarter than all her male bosses and coworkers, but they don't treat her well, so she quits, and then she goes and gets a job for a female boss who also doesn't treat her well.
Right.
So-
Because feminism. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tess doesn't know that at first, but she figures it out when her boss starts passing off Tess's ideas as her own, which is a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
So she's pissed at her boss and goes home to find her boyfriend going to business school at night with another woman, which is very much a euphemism here. That boyfriend was played by Alec Baldwin, a young Alec Baldwin.
Young, hot Alec Baldwin. We got to see his chest hair. There was a lot going on. Yeah.
Is that why you liked it?
I don't know.
Excellent follow-up question.
One of my weirdest favorite scenes is when she's vacuuming topless. So I don't know. Maybe the little bisexual in me was like, I like Alec Baldwin and I like her.
It had both. Yeah,
it had both.
A little both. Okay.
So Tess goes back to her boss's house where she's house sitting while the boss, is out of town recuperating from her ski accident, and does something nobody should ever do. She cuts her own hair while she's angry.
And on pills.
Yeah. She does it anyway, and somehow, some way, it works out for her, and I feel like that could never possibly happen in real life. Like, listen, everybody, it's more likely you'll wake up tomorrow and can fly than you cutting your hair when you're pissed, and it's going to turn out right. Just don't do it.
Agreed.
And it turned out very chic, too. Like, it was a real,
While she's got the run of her boss's house, Tess decides to use her boss's clothes and her connections to advance her own career, which seems deeply problematic when taken out of context. She meets Harrison Ford at a party, and they leave together, but they don't sleep together, which is good because, unbeknownst to her, Tess is presenting to him in a business meeting the next day. Yeah.
So this is an actual case of not sleeping, not like a Jimmy Swaggert case of not
Yeah,
sleeping
right.
together.
No, like we actually
yeah.
could say no.
Actually,
We are
no.
determined that he did not. I
Right.
don't believe
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
Things seem to be going well, but then she finds out that Harrison Ford, is dating her boss, although he was planning on breaking up with her, which seems like kind of a bullshit thing to say. Like in real life, if someone told you that, like you'd be like,
I was going to do it. I was
Right,
going to break up with him.
Yeah.
Sure, Jan. So this woman successfully cut her own hair when she was pissed at you, and you think she's going to listen to that nonsense? Like, no.
Yeah,
She's untouchable. Like, she can do anything she wants, basically, at this point. So the boss comes back to town and figures out what Tess has been up to, and then exposes her at a meeting, which is a shit thing to do. So Tess loses her job, but so does her boss when it's discovered that the boss was stealing ideas from Tess. So Tess gets a job at the company that Harrison Ford works for, and she thinks she's being hired as an administrative assistant, but it turns out she's been hired for a position that has an administrative assistant. And I don't know how she got this job when she clearly didn't realize what job she had gotten. Like, I wanted, let's walk me through the interview process.
What do you think your day entails?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like some questions weren't asked or answered. That should have been.
True.
So the song from the movie, Let the River Run, was written and performed by Carly Simon, and she won an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and a Grammy Award for Best Song written specifically for a film.
Wow.
Making her the first person to win all 3 awards for a song that was composed, written, and performed by one person.
Let the river run. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Once you hear that, you know you're in for a good time.
I've never seen this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
You actually, I think you would enjoy
I know.
this.
I'm thinking I need to watch it.
The movie was nominated for several Academy Awards, including Best Actress for Melanie Griffith and Best Supporting Actress for Sigourney Weaver, who played the boss, Catherine. Sigourney Weaver was also nominated for Best Actress that same year for playing Diane Fossey in Gorillas in the Mist, which real range.
That's very range. Yeah.
Yep. While shooting the movie, Melanie Griffith was really struggling with an alcohol and cocaine problem.
Oh shit.
And she showed up to the set high as a kite one day, so they couldn't film. So they shut the movie down for a day then made her pay $80,000. The $80,000 it cost to skip a day of shooting. And it turns out the director, Mike Nichols, was also working on a cocaine problem about the same time. So it's almost a miracle that this movie was ever even made. Everybody was high.
I guess it was 1988. Also, random fact, you know, at the end when she finds out she's not the secretary, and so the secretary is asking, maybe you should, tell me now what you expect of me. And she's like, well, I don't expect you to get me coffee. I don't expect you can call me Tess, like da-da-da-da-da, whatever. So there's that whole spiel. At some point, I watched the the Grey movies, the ones
50
with
Shades
Dakota
of Grey,
Johnson.
yeah.
Don't know why. I did. I watched them all. And at
I
one
need
point,
your assessment of those later. We don't have to do it now, but I need it.
At one point, Dakota Johnson redoes that scene with like an assistant. And so I realized at some point she's saying all the lines her mom does. And I was like, wow, so we're copying. It's a weird thing that you're copying your mom's lines in a movie where we see so much of your naked body. There's just so much. So you kind of want your mom to see it, but yet you don't. Like it's a very bizarre homage, but it's there.
I mean, yeah, I appreciate doing that. Like, but yeah, you're right. It's like doing it in that context of a sex movie is that's gross.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is a wild pivot.
From sex movie?
Yeah. In 1988, I don't know if either of you are aware that something was stolen from your youth that year.
From our youth?
Yeah.
Oh, no. We had a lot of things
Besides
stolen.
Jimmy Swaggert?
Yeah.
Besides Jimmy Swaggert, you lost the ability to own the original Jarts yard game.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's an outdoor game for the family that was banned.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Banned in the United States
Outdoor game for the
in 1988 by
It's
the
called
Consumer...
a missile game?
It's called a missile game by the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And I have handed out a visual aid because what I want you to pay attention to is that those are live metal sharp points on the end of these darts that were meant to be thrown into that circle. And no one prior to 1987 could see that this might be a problem until 3 children died from this game. And the hospital emergency rooms treated a reported 6,700 lawn dart, in this case Jarts, injuries between 1978 and 1987, with over 3/4 of these injuries happening to children.
Jesus.
Since then, the Jarts have not been sold in any stores, though altered forms, like you might have lawn darts that have like the plastic, you can throw them or whatever. They lost luster after that because they didn't stick in the ground. You can't really do the same thing with the plastic.
I mean, I think the danger element was what made people make kids want to play
Clearly,
this.
We might lose an eye, but it's okay.
Because the 3 children that died had darts that punctured their skulls.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
that's literally all
God.
died from head injuries, which is awful.
Do they have soft skulls or something?
I was going to say, these are so sharp as to penetrate a skull.
Yeah, and with the throwing or whatever. One was like, I read one of the stories. I didn't read the other 2 because the first one was tragic enough. But it was like a kid found some in the garage and was like throwing it around, and someone happened to walk by and he hit them. I mean, it wasn't even like if you were throwing it really hard and intentionally into someone's head. It was still, because they're like 12 inches long with a heavy metal tip on one end. So they said besides head injuries, we had faces, eyes, ears. People were losing shit left and right because.
Well, when you name the game Missile Game, that might be a sign.
Also, just Jarts. It's like lawn darts, so why wouldn't it be larts?
Yeah, where did the J come from?
I don't know.
And why haven't they made this into a movie? I mean, they made Battleship into a movie.
Yeah.
They made the Ouija board movie.
Yep.
Like, why? This could be.
This could definitely be a movie.
Yeah, we need a dark origin story of Jarts.
I think there is a dark origin.
Also, if we look closely at the cover of this missile game, the missile is pointing right at a person
Yeah.
as to murder that person. So, but then at the bottom it says an outdoor game for the family.
Right. It's wild to me that it took 6,700 injuries and we couldn't see that death was coming. Like...
It feels like the old SNL sketch with Dan Aykroyd where he's trying to pass
Exactly what I
off
thought of the
the
bag of
broken
glass.
Yeah, like
Bag
kids will
of
play with
glass.
that. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, so they banned it. I will tell you, though, that when I was looking for images of it, there are a lot of these on eBay, which is...
How much were they going for?
It was a range. It was a range. Some were like original in the box. Those are going to be closer to your $200 range.
Whoa.
The rest of them were, like if they're opened or like the picture that just has the darts out that I gave you. It's like, you can't really tell it because I zoomed in to show the metal tips, but it's like in a very modern house. Like, I don't know where they got them. But that set was on eBay for like $50 because they didn't have the box or anything. I don't even know how you're going to ship that, frankly, to someone, but...
I mean, should we expense it as a Fuzzy Memories expense and then go play Jarts on air? I don't know why I just recommended playing a game. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Also, one that I just clearly stated people have died from.
Yeah, but...
So you like high stakes games. Scrabble, fuck it. But if I could hit you with a dart and you might lose an eye...
See what I was said. People like the danger. That's what they're attracted
you're
to.
right.
The danger.
You're
I want
right.
to see if I can evade death.
Also, I'm so klutzy, just speaking for myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to be responsible of having a jart near either of you. Because one of us is getting one in the thigh, for sure.
Oh,
I don't think we're
yeah.
dying, but one of
No.
us is getting injured.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, all three of us are going to get it. We're not good at games. Yeah.
So somebody's going to injure themselves, and we're going to injure ourselves trying to help that person with the jarts.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it doesn't seem like we missed out on a lot.
No.
But you said it was stolen from our childhood.
I remember playing it.
you
One
really?
of our neighbors had it, and I remember playing it. And
Heath, you were so close to death and you didn't even know. Almost died. Heath. Oh, we could have used them last night and thrown them at the fur guy.
Oh,
We
yeah.
could have.
And, I was just killing that thing on your...
I thought you were being attacked.
It looked like 7 different foxes going for your neck. Had to do it.
going for your neck. Oh, so I just thought, wow, what a thing you could have prevented.
It's pretty great. It's funny though, they outlawed that, of course, but then there were so many other just straight metal toys that we were dealing with too. That,
And those slides at the park in the summer
Yes.
that would get to be 10,000 degrees.
Yes. So many things that were just as dangerous.
or like Class Action Park, the
Yeah.
one,
Oh, yeah.
or Action
yeah.
Park. I mean,
Yeah.
the movie was called Class Action.
That was a scary thing.
Well, another hard pivot.
So many hard pivots.
I know. And you might be surprised by this one, but on October 9th, the musical The Phantom of the Opera opened on Broadway and became the longest running Broadway show of all time.
It's the first one I ever saw. Broadway show.
Yeah, I bring this up partly because growing up in Iowa, we didn't have, in the 1980s, we heard very little about Broadway, very little about musical theater and theater in general. But the reach of this was so vast that I knew about it. We knew about Cats because it was so vast. We knew about this one. And this one sounded way cooler than Cats. So I was kind of into it without ever seeing it. I also remember hearing the Phantom music, which was like very synthy and dark, and I was like, this might be my jam. Also knowing that there was a dude with a mask, like a Batman or something. So, the show.
How'd you feel after you saw it?
Yeah.
Meh.
Okay. It felt like there was a lot of build up, and I was just wondering
No.
what you felt
The
like
actual
after.
show, I was like, oh, no, it's okay. So in the show, it's 1881. The hot shit singer at the French Opera throws a tantrum during a rehearsal after something falls and everyone blames a phantom. So the show is missing its lead till someone recommends a chorus girl, Christine. And when she performs, the opera's new patron, Raoul, recognizes her as a childhood friend. After the show, Christine admits to Raoul that she's been mentored by an angel of music. And I capitalized that because that's the way it was listed. Angel of Music, capital letters.
I don't.
Like,
I clearly
Juice
I don't
Newton?
remember Phantom of the
Wait,
Opera.
Juice Newton was Angel of the Morning. I'm thinking of
Right.
something different.
So this was her cousin, Angel of the Music, the disfigured cousin. So she's talking about this Angel of Music, then suddenly he appears in the mirror, and he's a dude in a tux with slicked back hair and in a mask that covers half his disfigured face. And he takes her through the mirror into the sewers to his lair.
Girl,
As
you're
an
in
angel.
danger.
Yeah.
You in danger, girl.
If he lives
never
in the
go
sewers, it's a red flag.
Second location.
This feels very Penguin, 1989
Yes.
Penguin to me.
Yes, uh-huh.
He, after a little while, where he just sort of scares her, he lets her go. But then he starts sending letters to the heads of the theater, demanding that Christine be the star of the new opera in development.
Are the theater owners like, the return address here is the sewer?
Yeah.
How serious are we taking this?
That must be because they're like... They're like, we're not going to listen to Sewer Guy.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, he did this before, like
Yeah.
2 years ago.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when they don't listen to Sewer Guy, he kills a guy and drops him from the stage during a performance.
Oh, gosh.
So Christine runs away in fear to Raoul and swears, they each swear their love for each other. But the Phantom hears them.
Oh no.
And he is pissed because he's a nice guy, the one that's so nice, and so that she'll give him something.
Oh, okay.
And waiting
Yeah.
for something in return.
Yeah.
So when she doesn't love him, oh no, he's not nice anymore.
Gotcha.
He swears revenge.
Oh.
These days it'd be revenge porn. But in 1888, it's but in 1881, it's a series of murders, kidnappings, and more. Until at the very end,
So he's just killing people and saying, I'll stop if you move in?
pretty much.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Oof.
If you love me, then I'll stop murdering. Until at the end, he gets a sweet, chaste kiss from Christine, and he realizes what compassion is, and he disappears before the angry mob can kill him. And then he's not in the sewers anymore. They go looking for him. He's not there.
Not there. Huh. So he had other means.
Apparently.
So did the angry mob ask Christine, like, where to go? And she was just like, wow.
He understands.
kissed him.
Yeah.
Also, what evidence do we have that he understands compassion?
Just apparently he starts crying.
Oh.
So, you know,
okay.
that's...
But
it feels
under
like-
his mask?
Yeah. It feels like more of a nice guy thing. Like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
But you still want to have sex with me, so I'm going to go.
Yeah. It also just feels like crying can also be a sign of being unhinged.
Very true.
Like he just ran away and we're just assuming he gets it now.
Yeah.
That guy gets it because he
gets it.
cried.
Yeah.
And we just gave up looking for him. Where in reality, he's plotting shit.
He's plotting shit.
He is plotting all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
And he's coming back. He might not use the sewers. It might be, who knows what else, chimneys. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Didn't they make it? They made a sequel to this.
They
right?
did. And I
They
didn't.
did?
I neglected to look it up to see if it was a continuation of that or like what happened. But yeah, but didn't it tank? Like it did
Yeah,
real
I
bad.
don't think it was well received.
People were happy to be like, he has compassion, so he escaped. And that was the end.
We wanted
They
to
were
end
happy with
there,
that.
yeah.
Some fun facts. The original Christine was Andrew Lloyd Webber's wife. So it felt like a real sort of almost situation where, because he was the
Yeah.
creator of the show and he put his own wife into the role there. So interesting.
Was this their backstory?
I guess.
Is he really the Phantom?
Yeah, I
Does
think
he
so.
live in the sewers?
Yeah.
It won a Tony for Best Musical and Best Actor. There were many adaptations before and after this because it was originally a novel in 1910. Then there were films in 1925, 1943, 1962, 1983. And then there was the show, and then there were more films after it. In 1989, there was one with Robert Englund.
Ooh, Freddy Krueger?
Yes.
What?
Then there was another one in 2004. So I think we're probably due for another.
I have seen that more than once, and I have completely forgotten the whole story. I remember the
Me
song.
too.
I remember the boat scene.
Yes.
Didn't even realize they were in a sewer.
Yeah.
Missed that entirely. So clearly saw it too young to really take in what it was.
Yeah, because I was reading this plot. I was like, I don't remember any of this,
No.
but okay.
If that's what you say.
And then it was detailing where songs were, and I'm like, this song doesn't belong in that moment. That doesn't seem right.
No.
So, like,
Musically, this is all
it was
messed up.
suspect, but yeah. So, a little Broadway for us. Classing up the joint.
Well, and in Batman Returns, the Penguin is pushed down the river by his parents too, like the baby and Willow. Like it's just baby river week, I guess.
Oh my god! When she said that,
Baby in the river week,
and it was a basket again, I was like, we put so much trust in baskets.
We do.
That in and of themselves have natural holes. They're
Yeah.
weaved together.
And this was just a thing that she found. She didn't know if it had, structural integrity.
Right.
She was like, sure, let me put the baby in here.
Well, I mean, she could look real good, right? Like I'm saving the baby, but also I don't have the baby anymore.
Yeah, but then she got mauled by dogs. So
Take back what I said.
It's always something with those dogs.
I know, always something with some weird fantasy creature dogs.
Also, as a side note, just to bring up a thing that we talked about a while ago that I believe Heath brought up, is that I have frequently been using the phrase, a dingo ate my baby. And now I feel not great about it every time I say it. Yeah,
It's like, oh, it was an actual dingo and an actual baby.
yeah. But I used to always say that jokingly. I don't know in what context. It just comes out sometimes. And
Because you're a terrible person.
I'm
Apparently.
awful. I'm actually, I mean, I'm rotten.
You
to the
should have
core.
yelled that when you were waiting for your French fries.
A dingo ate my baby.
They would have been like, "Get that woman her food."
What did she even order? Fries?
with her here.
Give them to her.
Just give her that fillet of fish that other lady wants.
Yeah.
Here, just... Yeah.
The best part is that when I was leaving, the lady next to me was just looking at me like, "You're gonna go?" Like I'm
Like you're leaving me
This
here?
has already been too long
Yeah.
and too much, and my interest has waned. So I'm gone.
We know your interest hasn't waned, listeners. What do you think about that transition?
Didn't know where you were going, but I liked it. I liked it.
No Wayne zone.
No.
We are a No Wayne podcast.
No.
And we will be back soon with another year.
Yes.
With lots of weird sewer dwellers. Let me try that again. Weird sewer dwellers, probably.
Cellar works too, I think, because
Yeah.
they're in the same
Swallowers.
boat. Yeah.
Babies
Swallowers.
and rivers. All the things.
Merry Christmas.
Fuzzy Memories is a Broads and Books production. It's hosted by Heath Smith, Aaron Johnston, and Amy Lee Lillard. Follow us at Fuzzy Memories Pod on Instagram for clips and highlights. And follow us at Broads and Books Productions for updates on new shows coming your way. See you next time.
It feels like
been
it
running ever since.
won a Tony out of just from lack of options. Like if you put that up against other musicals, Broadway shows that are out today, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I don't know what else was out this
Yeah.
year, but yeah. Apparently it just stunned everyone. Or they were afraid of the Phantom.
Or they've already had experiences with sewer dwellers and
Yeah.
said, I'm not going to fuck with that.
Like, I don't want revenge sworn on me
Yeah.
by a sewer person.
Is this around the time of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or is that later? Okay.
So
Yeah.
the sewers were the place to be in the late 80s,
were.
early
Hot,
90s.
but it was this club has everything.
It has a
It has a
mirror.
Phantom. It has Ninja Turtles. It has the Penguin.
Yeah, wow. Good stuff.